Hello then, a very good evening. Thank you so much for joining us, and today we're here to talk about something that is now going to take center stage when you talk about Indian cricket. Yes, there's an upheaval of sorts that selection committee being either asked to remove, either being removed or again all sorts of stories doing the rounds, but we know for a fact that we are in for a new selection committee, and in many ways the ball's been set rolling today. We saw the CAC getting named. That's the first step. Now the big thing starts, which is the selection committee as to who will first be heading the committee, who the members will be. 28th of November was the last day to file your applications. A couple of names, as we told you earlier in the day as well, both on Sports Today as on AajTak. Two names that we know very well are also part of the scheme of things all over again. Cricket. No, reports suggested that, but I think yesterday also we discussed the very same thing here on Sports Today, and for the past couple of days we've been discussing it on AajTak also. By the BCCI, that BCCI is inviting fresh posts of 5 selectors. Was ending, so as simple as that, now you need 5 fresh selectors, and those who are eligible off camera. In fact, before we started,
when
you said
did I say something?
The selectors, the chief selector, in fact, yeah, he's still technically the chief selector, Chetan Sharma, and Harvinder Singh, former fast bowler, he was also a member. If they would have been sacked, somebody...
No, I think this word sacked, he's been sacked.
Exactly.
When people who wrote about this are aware of the fact that the selectors these days are not selected for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
The number of years was getting over, and there were 3 of them. So anyways, they thought maybe let's advertise again, and I'm sure if Harvinder, they must have, at the insistence of the BCCI,
true,
or they would have called up the BCCI to find out what's the future for us. And I had told you yesterday, or I think day before here only, that there is a strong possibility of Chetan Sharma hanging on to his post. So he may still remain the chairman of selection committee. And my point is, what wrong did the selectors do? Were they responsible for the World Cup defeat? Were they the only ones responsible for the World Cup defeat?
Not the only ones.
So they were not the only ones.
Yeah.
And because it's been 2 World Cups in 12 months, so that is why the cricket fan in India is aggrieved. But what about those?
And the Asia Cup.
Yeah, and what about those who were responsible for picking the 11? Those who were responsible for bringing out the best from that 11? Can they also hang on to the posts like they have been? I mean, 2 World Cups, 1 Asia Cup, this and that, the World Test Championship. So, I think any responsibility that is given to you, even if you're a player or a captain or a coach or a selector, there must be something where we hold them accountable to.
Absolutely.
They've got to perform, the selectors or the coach or the captain or the players, they've got to perform. If they are judged on the basis of performance, so will the selectors be. And if the BCCI was going to generalize all the selectors and put them in the same basket and throw them into the Pacific Ocean, it wouldn't have made any sense. If they still want to cherry pick, maybe retain a couple, get 3 more, that's fine. That's their job. And again, Rahul, when we say that Harvinder Singh and Chetan Sharma have reapplied and it must have been at the insistence of the BCCI, technically that is also wrong.
It may or may not be.
No, technically it is wrong.
Then
we are suggesting that it is not the CAC which will appoint the selectors, that these two have already been appointed.
No, but
technically, which is not the case actually.
Technically, a lot of things should not happen, but they do happen. In fact,
you also need to look at the choices that you have.
Exactly. Has played the most number of tests amongst the names that
we've been able to get.
We know. It remains to be seen now, as I think more people would have joined. Of course, 3 test matches happening. England in Rawalpindi, 506 for 4.
Most of them were down with a virus.
Yeah.
Don't want to think about what they'd be doing if they had no virus.
Exactly. And in Australia too.
Where is this virus found? Let's.
Hopefully it's not a zombie virus.
Hopefully, it doesn't date back 48,500.
What virus, yeah?
Imagine. And then of course in Australia.
Stream is
It
lagging.
was. I think now it's gotten better.
It's okay now.
Yeah, I think it's better now.
And then where they formed the CAC, the Cricket Advisory Committee. Ashok Malhotra, if I remember correctly, he was in first class cricket. He has a great record.
Oh yes, and he's also from Chandigarh, incidentally, as is Chetan Sharma.
And your father has played with him, no?
Yes, he was in my father's. But they were in the State Bank of India in Chandigarh. Ashok Malhotra, Kapil Dev, and Yogaraj Singh, they were the same batch. So in school, in college, the Ranji Trophy, and then they played India almost. Kapil Paji played almost ahead of the others.
Yeah, before.
And Chetan Sharma was younger to them. Also from Chandigarh, the 4th Indian Test player to come from that city, and the right people. What are the choices that you have? And I think the way forward for Indian cricket is not just. I think from what we have seen, it is not the messenger, the message is a problem. So you need to either empower your selectors. I'm sure when these selectors were being judged by the board or by the fans, they may have told their own version of the story. At the same time, we also understand that since the secretary of the board is the convener of the selection meetings, he may have already been privy to such meetings.
Exactly.
Where we were told last year that the Indian captain, the Indian coach, the vice captain and MS Dhoni, 4 of them had a game plan, and they insisted on those 15 players who went to Dubai, and the selectors had no role to play but to give them the 15 players. And ideally, whatever the captain or the coach ask, the selectors ought to give those players to the team. And this year again, I think the team management wanted whatever that they wanted, they gave it to the selectors.
But the selectors had already burned their fingers in Dubai in the T20 in 2021 T20 World Cup, and then again. But I think maybe I might be wrong. But now, if Chetan Sharma and Harvinder Singh, they are reappointed as selectors, maybe they would be better prepared now.
Then why only Chetan Sharma and Harvinder Singh? I am saying Rahul, whosoever.
I'm saying
I think
anybody. Just in case.
This is also perhaps time for us, Rahul, to look at the jurisdiction of Indian coaches. So technically what happens is, if there is a selection meeting to select the 15 or the 16 or the 18, the 5 selectors have their voting rights. The captain and the coach are invited to be part of the meeting, but they've got no voting right.
No voting right.
Right? So the 15 or the 16 or the 18 is technically selected only by the selectors and given to the team. Once the team is given to the captain and the coach, then the selectors have no role to play in the 11. That is wrong. Either the first one is wrong, or the second one is wrong. So the selector have no role to play in the 11. The 11 is decided by the tour committee, which has the coach, the captain, and the vice captain in it. They decide on the 11.
Correct.
Then why do you send a selector to travel with the team? So I think they also need to look at a situation where maybe the one traveling selector can also be part of the tour committee.
But then where does the buck stop?
The buck doesn't stop anywhere.
Exactly.
You tell me, when was the last time in Indian cricket that the buck stopped genuinely on one particular thing?
Things like these have happened in the
But
past.
isn't there something that we need to answer or cater to then? Is
You
this
lost
stop-
the World Cup, but
What will you do?
Again, you either
No,
can...
there has to be. Okay.
See,
What will you do?
See, things aren't working out well as of now. Yes, as you said, there is a team that's selecting the 15 for you, but then there's 3 other people who end up selecting the 11. And as a result, there's this, a lot of crossfire that's happening, and it's not working out. It's not getting us results. Why can't we look at a change then?
No, but what change? Do you want to remove?
Like it was just suggested, why don't you give the NC selection rights to the tour selector then?
Wouldn't that also be?
let him be part of the tour committee. That's my point.
Tour selector, as in, yeah.
One traveling selector to
traveling-
be part of the 11. The committee who decides on the 11. Like, see, they had a vision. And I'm not saying that Rahul Sharma did not have a vision. They had a vision. And they had a vision, even though India lost the last year's World Cup, they still did not panic. They said, okay, this is the core, which is fine. After the IPL, they decided on the basis of 4-5 knocks that Dinesh Karthik is going to be our finisher. Fine. They asked the selectors gave Dinesh Karthik to the team. Now, you asked for Dinesh Karthik,
You got it.
you got Dinesh Karthik, but you did not play Dinesh Karthik.
But then were you not convinced?
So in
that
Asia
Dinesh
Cup,
Karthik in the-
you were dilly-dallying.
And as it
Because
happened,
till the very end, you weren't
So
sure whether you will play Karthik or Pant.
somebody with authority should have asked the captain or the coach, भाई आपने ये मांगा था, why did you not play him?
Or better yet,
Why is it that one day you play Dinesh Karthik, the other day you play Rishabh Pant?
some days you play both.
Some days you play both.
Yes.
So you can't do that, no?
And more importantly, also if you're looking at it, we're talking about selection and selecting players for one thing, then not taking another. Deepak Hooda was brought in as a batsman who can bowl a bit, proceeded to not bowl a ball.
and it was your captain by the way.
Exactly.
In fact, somebody like Shikhar Dhawan, even Hardik Pandya
Gave him plenty of balls.
Exactly, they trusted him with his abilities to bowl those off spinners. But unfortunately, Rohit Sharma never showed that kind of faith in Deepak Hooda.
In fact, he didn't show it even against Pakistan when you had 3 left-handed batsmen and Pakistan gave you a surprise googly by promoting Nawaz to number 4.
Yes.
You had no answer at that point. You had Hooda, but you weren't
You
bowling
play
him.
with 5 bowlers, right? But
Yeah,
Yes.
Hooda was your 6th.
6, but you didn't play him.
You didn't bowl him.
Yeah.
Okay, wish
See, there will always be some misfire or the other. And it's not as if, any team or every team that you pick is going to perform. I said this yesterday here, that we call Saurav Ganguly one of the best captains ever. And we think about the 2002 NatWest final and the 2003 World Cup as our trigger moments. But the fact is, he also made a huge mistake. People kept telling Saurav Ganguly to play Anil Kumble in the World Cup final. He didn't. He rather went with Dinesh Mongia. So what I'm saying is, there could be an error of judgment.
and Dinesh Mongia, by the way, was picked ahead of VVS Lakshman.
In
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
squad, yes.
That VVS Lakshman came so close to making it to that World Cup squad, and they were contemporaries. Saurav Ganguly, Sachin Tendulkar,
VVS.
Lakshman was so
And-
offended.
Exactly.
For a good 1 year, I'm sure you would know that Saurav Ganguly and Lakshman were not the best of terms. This is one regret that VVS Lakshman still has in his life. But see, besides the point, what has happened has happened. The point is,
Exactly.
now the ball set rolling. You have the CAC. Hopefully, you'll have 5 good selectors. But I really want the selectors to be empowered. The selectors need to be told, and the team management also needs to be told, that this is got to be a battle of equals. So the selectors cannot always live in that inferiority complex. Oh, we are dealing with somebody who's played 100 test matches. oh, we are dealing with somebody who's a billionaire. No. If you've played Test cricket or you've not played Test cricket, if you're an Indian selector, think like one.
I
Think like one.
Correct.
I think somebody from the BCCI, see, BCCI is being run by some very able men and women. I don't know, women you don't have in the BCCI, no?
Not yet, I think. Not right now.
So basically, so even I think somebody has to tell people that this is their job, this is your job, and accountability has to be fixed. If this story is being circulated that this entire selection committee has been sacked, at least I think we have not said that they've been sacked, and so if they are being held accountable, I think the captain, the coach, whereas earlier we used to have those. By the way, you were there in the World Cup. There was no team manager, I believe.
No team manager. The unwarranted situation that happened in Sydney.
Yes.
If you remember,
Yes.
two things, two issues came up. One, the food, the snacks
Yes.
that was served to the team after one of the practice sessions at the SCG, and the second was the practice
Ground was too far.
the practice ground was too far one day before the game. Now these two things, they were made to look like immediate. I mean, as if the Indian team went there and the food served was not good, and then one day prior to the game the Indian team's been told, yeah, tomorrow you will have to go to some ground in Hapur because we don't have a ground in Noida. No. There's a handbook that has been prepared, that was given to the journalists months in advance.
And
so every team traveling for the World Cup knew exactly what date, what venue, what time. And as it is, that day there were 4 international teams in the same city. So I think India was playing Holland the next day. India, Holland, and then there was South Africa and Bangladesh. So South Africa, Bangladesh, Holland had to practice at the SCG, and since India had practiced there a day prior to the game, they'd already been allotted a ground weeks in advance. Now, if there had been a manager,
Exactly.
I'm sure the practice was not an issue, as it was made out to be. The Indians did not make out to be an issue. I don't know why the media did. The food became an issue.
No, cold food.
Do you know that they were told 2 weeks in advance
that this is
about
you
what
serve.
exactly would be your menu for your post-practice session?
And obviously,
Did they object to it?
And
Did somebody object to it?
No.
and obviously the players will not go through that handbook. Your logistics manager, your team manager, it is their job
Correct.
to read it and make your players aware of it. Anyways, quickly we'll take a few questions. Okay.
Do we miss a super chat?
Oh yeah, Anurag.
There's a very interesting observation by someone, Sapratam or somebody, who said that King Kohli has more hundreds than my age.
Yeah.
Obviously,
I chose to
I'm not
ignore
going
it.
to be 71, yeah. I can't be 71 yet.
Saki Ponting also, Dravid also. Everybody has more hundreds than your age.
No, Rahul Dravid I think will have less hundreds than my age.
30. Oh yeah, ODIs he doesn't have.
Man.
Yeah, can you?
So anybody who has less than 50 centuries has, his centuries are less than my age.
So basically, Sachin's test centuries basically is
Sachin's test centuries are what?
41.
51.
51 and
49
and
was
49.
ODIs.
51 and 49.
So my age is more than Sachin's ODI century list.
No,
He's 49, I'm going to be 50.
you are going to.
In a month's time, hopefully, if everything goes well.
Chalo. Ashwin block list
Nice, interesting name. I wonder why it came from.
because
Uh-huh.
Ashwin has anyways
Uh-huh.
won both big games against Pakistan and Bangladesh.
I'll take
due to
this.
Virat Kohli.
Okay.
Okay.
So he's saying that Pakistan and Bangladesh games, Virat Kohli won the games for India, and Vikrant Gupta has an agenda going against Virat Kohli and putting him in the same bracket as the poor KL, Rahul, Rohit, who flopped 2 consecutive World Cups.
Bangladesh is a big game? Really?
No, but
Can
who won you
Can
the
you
Bangladesh
zoom in a
game?
bit,
Exactly.
Anurag?
I think the bowlers won
Exactly.
you the Bangladesh game.
The bowlers did.
And the fielding too. KL Rahul, remember?
KL
that,
Rahul,
run
direct
out?
hit.
No. The point is, he must be a Virat fan.
Nah, definitely, 100%.
If he were a Rohit fan, he would have said the opposite.
Can you blow it up?
Why are you
Yeah.
blaming Rohit Sharma?
Rohit Sharma. If it was a
If-
KL
if-
fan,
and
same
if-
thing.
Yes. And I'm sure these days there are not too many Rishabh Pant fans.
No.
So somehow he's become the most hated Indian cricketer on social media.
Yeah.
So,
I think Virat, of course, was exceptional against,
Saurav Singh.
against Pakistan.
Oh, wow, yeah. What observations, yeah.
So,
See, I'll tell you something now. All of you, the fandoms, the fan clubs, look at what England did to Pakistan in the test match. There lies the answer. That team, I mean, 24 hours before the game, or in fact 12 hours before the game, they were not sure of fielding 11 fit players.
Correct.
They went into a test series, first day of the test series. They get 506 runs in 75 overs.
Correct.
4 centurions.
Right? This is the way forward. And if your role models or your heroes can play cricket like that,
I think I don't think any team in the world. Okay, if I don't need.
you
to do
lost
this.
the semi-final. I had a huge argument with Rahul yesterday. I was sitting there. You lost the semi-final because of your first 10 overs. And if you
No, but
don't
I
want to
never-
accept,
No, I never said.
I'm not saying you. I'm talking to them.
No, but then you had an argument with me. No?
Because you said it was the selection. I said Rahul.
No, but
the
it
selection
was.
was the overall
No,
World Cup.
and selection is not just
No,
on
I
that
said-
day. I'm saying for the
Yes, many of the ills. One of the ills
Yeah.
was the selection. But I am saying that even with all those selections, you reached the semi-finals against England on the warmest day that we had in Australia, on the best batting wicket, and comparatively the smallest Australian ground.
Correct.
yeah.
You batted out 2 leg spinners who bowled 7 overs for a mere 41 runs.
Correct.
Right? You show me a couple of attempts where you went out of the way to hit them out of the park.
No, I'll show you one.
You were just playing for 150. If you'd been playing for 200 runs, you would have gotten 200 runs, yeah. In the first 10 overs, if you were 61 for 1 or 2, it implies
Lack of
it
intent.
implies
Lack of
unfortunately-
that you had safety first approach.
Unfortunately,
May work for you in ODIs, will not
That-
work for you in T20s, boss.
And
Do
that-
not mix the formats.
and that was the same approach
Yeah.
that you played throughout the tournament.
Yes,
It wasn't just see,
Against Zimbabwe, yaar, if Surya Kumar had not scored those runs,
Yes.
you would have been struggling for 150.
Correct.
Yeah.
In fact,
Bangladesh game also, yes, Virat.
you had almost lost that.
Yes, you lost the game.
Yeah.
Even
It was
against-
Bangladesh. who-
Bangladesh panicked.
So if you look at all these games, barring the Zimbabwe one, Zimbabwe no,
Pakistan also we had lost,
Netherlands.
but for Virat Kohli.
for 2 free
Yeah,
sixes.
yeah.
but you know, look at
Two
the
free
margin of those victories. You came you were very close. In fact, the opposition was very close. Became very close to winning those games. So which meant that you just needed one bad day. Those were your good days, by the way.
Also, one
those
of the
were your
things-
good
one of the
days when you
things-
won those games.
Absolutely.
One of the things that the scorecard now in hindsight will not reflect is the fact that whenever India was caught in these situations where you needed runs, it was only Surya Kumar Yadav who got them out of the jail.
So
Because the
no,
top
no.
3 otherwise weren't taking
See,
that
you need anchors.
carefree approach.
You didn't, even in T20s, you would need somebody who would anchor the innings.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, if you say Rahul is needed because he will anchor the innings, what if Vikrant also wants to anchor the innings and Harshit also wants to anchor the innings and Shane also wants to anchor the inning? Then why do you every inning go to somebody like Surya Kumar Yadav, aaj bacha lo,
Bacha
yaar. Hardik Pandya, please yaar, aaj bacha lo. And why is it? Leave the media. Why is it that one player who bats in the middle order, low middle order, actually took on these seniors
Does he
in the team meeting?
Does he bowl too?
Yeah, don't play this Sam City with you. One day I will name the player, yeah. That player is not afraid to be named.
Exactly. That is the reason why he stood up and
Yes, he
told
stood
the
up.
players.
He told 1, 2, 3. He said, यार हर गेम में ऐसे कर देते हो यार. So the point is, it's a cricket match. या तो फिर गम मत मनाओ हारने का यार. फिर यहाँ पे मत लेके आओ गम. हारेंगे, जीतेंगे कब ये होगा. छोड़ दो या तो.
And
या अपने फैंडम में से निकलो. अगर जीतने की बात करनी है. Don't have this.
Unfortunately, what is happening is the same approach is being rubbed on to the younger, to the youngsters also. By
Correct.
the way, that
You
is
saw
the
that in New Zealand?
That is the reason why players are being a little selfish. They just want to
Get their runs.
get those
Reflects in the IPL
exactly. They,
for different franchises.
Yeah.
why? Because they know what they are doing, and why should we
Take the fall.
sacrifice? Why should we sacrifice?
Why should we be the
our-
fall guys?
Why should we be the fall guys?
Let's get some runs under our belt, and at least we'll have stats to show.
दुनिया बड़ी तेज चल रही है बॉस. You are wasting your time. You already let go of World Cup, one World Cup. I won't say the last World Cup. You had the best players, and unfortunately, I mean, and the right players. You
Last
lost
World Cup as
in Dubai. I mean,
not the
no, one or two selections, but by and large, I mean, I'm talking about the batting. I think you took the right batsman in the last year's World Cup.
Ishan Kishan batted.
But
there.
to have taken them, all of them, to this year's World Cup was a huge mistake. It was a huge mistake. Yes, there were no youngsters pushing these players, but did you back any youngster?
No. So then, what was the need to play somebody like Ishan Kishan throughout the year? And then suddenly,
Because you're warming up the seat for somebody else. कोई फिट नहीं है, कोई आउट ऑफ फॉर्म है, कोई फलाना है, कोई रेस्ट चाहता है, कोई परिवार है, एंड देन कम दी एशिया कप और द वर्ल्ड कप, हर कोई आ जाएगा. ईशान किशन बेटा चलो घर, फलाना बेटा तुम भी चलो घर,
Ravi Bishnoi.
and then you will force that Ishan Kishan, that Shreyas Iyer, that Sanju Samson to become selfish.
Sanju Samson still
And they will become selfish.
They will become selfish because that's like
मौका मिला मैं रन बनाता हूँ, नहीं तो मुझे बाहर निकाल
Ishan
दो.
Kishan played throughout the year. Yuzi Chahal, Ravi Bishnoi played throughout the year.
I feel worse for Bishnoi because he was made the backup for Yuzi. Then they decided we don't need Yuzi.
I think Yuzi Chahal would be more disappointed
Obviously,
than Ravi Bishnoi.
obviously.
Because Ravi Bishnoi would at least know that okay, if they had to pick an off spinner in Ashwin, okay, they went with Ashwin and Yuzi Chahal. Perhaps maybe I'll have my days as well.
But Chahal played throughout.
But Chahal would be more disappointed by the way. And now, at times what happens is we also, everybody, I can't understand, Sunil Gavaskar, everybody in the world, whoever was present there in Australia or anywhere in the world was saying that why not Yuzi Chahal, why not Yuzi Chahal, why not? Because I think that was, so you can't pinpoint one thing, but there were a lot of things. For example, I've been saying this because I think Gavaskar also pointed this out, that in the middle overs we've not been picking wickets. That was one of the reasons why you were allowing the opposition batters to go hard at you towards the end. And not that, and Ashwin, usually we know Ashwin is somebody who can control the flow of runs at least. But here he couldn't do that also.
Because the batsmen were taking him on.
He got 6 wickets, 3 against Zimbabwe,
2 against Netherlands.
Again, I don't blame Ashwin, I don't blame Dinesh Karthik. I think to the best of their ability, they performed. But again,
that's
a damning indictment.
Exactly. If you're saying that they performed to the best of their
own ability,
It's still a damning indictment.
See, again, you can
this
bowl.
Is what Indian cricket
See,
has to show.
I'll tell you the difference in batting and bowling, Rahul, is that batting somehow is in your own control area. I mean, you get runs when you're in control. You bowl well, there is a possibility you may not pick wickets. So what I'm saying is, Ashwin would have given his 100%. Dinesh Karthik would have given his 100%, but were they the right choices?
Absolutely.
It's not their fault. It is the fault of those who thought or imagined कि ये चाहिए. But यार, I mean, the entire world, the wrist spinners were winning you games.
Exactly.
And it's not just the captain. I would blame the coach as well, yeah.
It has to be.
For all,
has to be,
for all his skill and his experience, was Rahul Dravid not aware of the realities?
Correct.
And you tell me one thing.
I think again the accountability has to be top to bottom, not bottom
Not
to
the
top.
other way around. And
The problem is you start when you think about accountability, then you go bottom to top.
When Rahul Dravid came to or went to Dubai during that IPL final, he had spoken to the higher ups or the top hierarchy of the BCCI, and he must have discussed the roadmap that from here on, as in Virat Kohli, of course, has already stepped down as the T20 skipper, and we'll soon get rid of Virat Kohli as the ODI skipper also.
Yeah.
Then he must have discussed. I remember he took some rest in this New Zealand series.
Yeah.
Ravi Shastri also made a pretty valid
Point, yeah.
there. And then somebody, in fact, then I got a few messages on social media, of course, that he had already made it very clear to the BCCI, at least not to my knowledge though, that I'll pick and choose my series, I'll take some rest. And this is not me, by the way, this is people telling me. Of course, they must have read somewhere that I'll take rest accordingly, and I'll have my share of matches and then my share of rest also. But then
No, I think what they need to do is they need to have an assistant coach for the T20s. Somebody like Harbhajan Singh said, who ought to have played this format. He named Ashish Nehra. I don't know Ashish Nehra.
Would he want the
would
job?
he want to or would he not want to? Anybody. Could be Harbhajan himself. Could be, so you need to have that person.
Harbhajan may not be eligible.
No, whatever. So you need to have that kind of a person as an assistant coach to Rahul Dravid for a year. Anyways, Rahul Dravid's tenure will again be looked upon next year after the World Cup, and he is the coach till the end of the World Cup next year. Basis that, you can then decide on elevating, if you want to, the assistant coach for the T20s as your full-time T20 coach. There is no harm.
With Australia,
England cricket, are they doing well? They are the one-day world champions. They are the T20 world champions. Yes, they are not in the running for the World Test Championship this year because they went into transition, and maybe they'll
Need another
start doing
cycle.
well again in Test cricket. But the fact is, they're doing well in all the three formats of the game.
And they have split coaching.
But I would beg to differ with what you are saying, having an assistant coach under Rahul Dravid. I would want somebody with an independent charge, an independent captain in T20.
That's very good.
Because I won't want any
Unfortunately, it is not going
interference.
to happen, no? Because if they had decided on that, they would have told us. So maybe if there is scope, yes, I would love to. A separate boot camp for all of them.
Exactly.
The T20 players, the T20 coaches, go, enjoy your life, be in a different office, live your life, come back with the results.
So earlier boot camp, you mentioned boot camp earlier. Players, in fact, the Indian teams used to have those boot camps.
Oh yeah, they don't have time now to go for practice. Yeah, you're talking about.
Achha, before we wrap up, Rajkumar Bhardwaj is saying England made 500 plus in one day with 400s. Is T20 style of play rubbing on other formats too? Then where does India stand as per your insight? For me, India will need a total revamp of its cricket setup. Not cricket setup, but the players. Your insight. Do you have?
Every country goes through transition. I think in T20s you will go through transition, hopefully. Test cricket also, I think you are in a phase where you will have to possibly get a few batsmen in. You also need to look at your bowling. I think the Indian bowling is thin. Look at the under 16s, the under 19s, look at the Ranji Trophy, the Vijay Hazares and all the tournaments. Somehow I do get the feeling that if looking at the number of runs being scored, it means that you don't have the bowling at the grassroots level. You don't have wicket-taking bowlers at the under 16 level, the 19 level, Ranji Trophy or Vijay Hazare. I mean, I'm not taking any credit away, but I was reading that one batsman has scored 6 centuries this year, another one scored 4.
It's been happening for the last few years. By Devdutt Padikkal.
And looking at the string of scores, and now this could also be looked upon as a very positive sign that batsmen do not only get satisfied with a century, they get big daddy hundreds and double hundreds now in 50 overs, which is a very good thing.
It is.
But it also means that the same set of players who've either been knocking at the India doors or who've played for India,
and then
not been there altogether, but have played for India, have seen that world. They are scoring 170, 180, 140 every day. which means that you do not have the bowling in your domestic cricket.
Because people are not playing. In fact, the bowlers don't want to get injured.
Bowlers don't play.
Domestic cricket.
Yeah.
Why are all these, even the fringe bowlers, by the way, the fringe India players not playing domestic cricket? I understand, there's an Indian team, a test team, there's a one-day team, or the SDI, Shikhar Dhawan International 11.
Delhi did not qualify. Delhi did not qualify for the knockouts in Vijay
for the
Hazare.
first time.
No, this year. Jammu Kashmir did. I think hats off to Jammu Kashmir.
Absolutely.
Yep.
There must be some talent there, and minus Umran Malik, Abdul Samad, I think was also not. I think lost the quarterfinals.
Yes.
Jammu Kashmir played,
The quarters.
and Delhi did not. And look at the legacy of Delhi cricket. Look at the players that they have. But the players would only. I have seen the players would play T20s, the Syed Mushtaq Ali and this and that.
IPL auditions, basically.
Ashwin Blocklist is back again. Opener didn't score didn't score in two back-to-back World Cups. How do we win a World Cup? Expert. 90% fan want Virat Kohli
In the
World
2024.
Cup 2024. England play Malan. Stokes career strike rate is 130. They anchor. But
No, I think Ashwin is right.
No, okay, but there's I can counter to his point. If you have Malan and Stoke for the career sector 130, everyone else is 150 on they're not less than that.
Exactly.
So you
So
have
in your team,
Hales,
you will have
Butler.
You will have three players who are
Your top three are anchors.
125, 130.
One
and then
Surya,
you win the World Cup.
175,
You
and that's it.
will win the
And that's it.
But I think Virat must play in the T20 2024 World Cup. I think he's pointed out 90% of the fans, if they want. No, he didn't say fan. He said experts.
Experts too.
90% of the experts, if they want him to play in the 2024 World Cup, he must play.
And you know what happens usually? A player will score 40 runs of 30 balls. Now suddenly what happens is, then he gets his next 20 runs, or say he'll take next 10 balls
For 25 runs.
for 25 runs. Eventually he finishes with
And
40 balls
and
65
with
runs.
due apology,
Or 60
those
runs.
15 balls or 10 balls,
His strike rate will show 140. But then
so there could be another batsman who would face those 10 balls, would come down the order and get you 25 runs.
Correct.
I think it is not about the players, Mr. Ashwin Blocklist. It is about the format. If somebody who's 40 or 45 in terms of age can ace T20, so be it.
get
I
Praveen
once
Tambole.
tweeted, I think I remember, I once tweeted, there was some IPL, and I think 2 years ago, I said T20 is a young man's format, and Yuvraj Singh, the great Yuvraj Singh, you said, no, Paji, you are wrong. Age is just a number. So he may have been right in terms of the age, but I'm talking about the format. See, I'll tell you what, it's not as if the players intentionally want to play slow.
Correct.
Get there. No. Once you start aging, you become mature and you understand your game better, and you start eliminating risks. I think T20 is all about
Risks.
your ability
And I think you
to
also
take the
understand
right risk at
it's
the
a-
right time.
And also you
High risk
start
format.
understanding the public perception also, what they eventually want.
Hey, Indian public wants averages.
Exactly, not the strike rates. That's
Average.
Yeah, that's average.
That's it. Anyways, I think let's call it a day. By the way, there's an important meeting currently going on. That's the IPL Governing Council meeting, where I think majority of the discussion will be on women's IPL. That's going to start next season, next year, and then also on dates and venues of the next season of the IPL. We'll keep you posted, but that can happen only and only if you've subscribed to Sports Today. So do subscribe to Sports Today and also press that bell icon so that whenever we are live, you get to know it first. Bye bye.